means, what that looks like for our network and our existing systems out there. As you all probably have figured out by now, the majority of the heavy lifting in terms of the transportation infrastructure is being taken on by the state. The state has separate appropriations set aside for this project, for Micron. We're looking at it in the context of our existing planning and growth with us through SMTC, where we receive the majority of our budget for highway projects is through the federal and state government. So we're going to continue to work with them. I was actually on the phone with them a few minutes ago about something else, but we're trying to expedite their permits, give their contractors what they need, help their contractors and their designers understand what it is they're asking for and what they actually need to do to achieve that. So we have a small team in-house who's working directly on the Micron stuff pretty much weekly at this point to make sure they have what they need. And not just with Micron, it's also with National Grid, it's with WEP, it's with all the other utilities that are operating and may need to at some point impinge on the county right-of-way, which we manage. So we'll continue to do that. There's a lot of growth opportunity there. You know, the good news is the state highways that are out in the area are a little bit constrained in some periods of the day. I'm thinking about Route 31, Cody. But the county highways out there, many of which are very, very old, are actually under capacity, which is probably not going to last very long. So you'll see some changes this summer in terms of activity that's going to draw a lot of attention. So we'll continue to work with their team for that. And I'm happy to try to answer any questions about that I can. A lot of it is conceptual, and a lot of it is still in the TIS to be fleshed out. And it's really not, you know, what they're actually going to end up having to change. You know, the state needs to sort of drive the bus on that. And specific to what Micron's doing, you know, that's going to be their information to share when we get to a consensus.
Any questions for transportation? Legislator Now.
Not specifically about this, but I just wanted to say it's been a tough winter. Thank you to you and your entire team.
Thank you.
For everything you do for the community. It's a nice job.
It's not me. I have 160 really good people that work for us that are doing yeoman's work this winter. It's been a long winter, but it's been what I think is probably a normal winter for those of us that are old enough to remember.
A little spoiled, yeah.
We're okay.
Legislator Brown.
That was actually my question. How we doing? Like our vehicles are, are we okay, or should we be expecting to hear from you about this? It's been a tough winter.
You will definitely hear from me about this in April. We're in the process of putting together our work plan now. What I typically do is I come over in late March, early April with the work plan, which is it's our story for the year. Here's what we're doing, here's how we want to pay for it. And we're already in the process of getting that together. I think you have me scheduled to come over in March for something more broad and like a 10,000-foot view, which I'm happy to do. The work plan will show where we are. As far as vehicles go, this winter has been a challenge. You know, those frigid temperatures are not good for metal. They're not good for diesel engines. They're not good for anything that requires, you know, the ability to be flexible and move. So we've had a challenge this year. Obviously, salt is always a problem. The last couple of years has been a problem. We are working through all of those things every day, finding solutions and making sure that we're providing the service to the traveling public that they are paying for.
Legislator Cody.
Hey, Marty. One of the really encouraging things looking through the EIS related to Micron is that Micron's kind of the catalyst that forces all these different entities to invest in our roads, our infrastructure, and actually improve what we're seeing in terms of traffic in a lot of these areas. But another interesting thing people may not be aware of is that EIS basically laid out a lot of recommendations. And in conversations with the state DOT, they're undergoing their own level of study to decide how best to address some of these, what are going to be, target areas. I've not yet been able to get a straight answer out of them, but do you have any concept of when we might see some of those plans from the state, what that could look like in terms of, public hearings and things like that?
I think, I'll speak anecdotally. There's a new regional director at State DOT. She's fantastic. She's come up through the ranks. She's very bright, very talented. She was running the 81 project before she got promoted. Very open, very accessible, very transparent, and our battle very often with the state is to get them to tell us what they're doing before they actually do it so we can figure out the impact's going to be on us. That has improved remarkably in the last few months. And, you know, South Bay Road, Tim, that bridge that it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off, the light's up, the light's down, stuff like that that we go through with them, they're getting better at. In terms of this project, we have other meetings and other plans in the works with them. A lot of what they're going to be doing, the big ticket, big changes to the Clay and Cicero area are going to have an impact on us in some meaningful way as our arterials to their system. We don't have a timeline on that yet, attached to that yet, because there's still a lot of, you know, the hard part of this was getting the commitment to do the project. Now, those of us who are working in infrastructure have to make sure that we can reasonably adapt to what's going to change and understand where it's going to change. Everybody's got an opinion and everybody wants something special out of this project, but we have to focus on maintaining the ability for people and commercial activity to take place for Micron, but also for everyone else who works and lives in the northern suburbs.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Oh, Legislator Garland.
How you doing?
Good.
Great. Hey, just a question. It's like a rail versus road question. Micron had proposed, I think, a rail spur.
Right.
How is that? Is it coming along? Are we still doing that? Because, of course, that would make it a lot easier, you know, mitigating all of the trips with the trucks and
So we've issued, I believe, 4 permits already for National Grid, and Railworks is the name of the company that's building the rail spur.
Yeah.
You know, my sort of approach with my staff is nothing lands on our side of the net. If they give us something, we read it, we react, we get it back over the net as quickly as we can. And we've given them, you know, that's not to say it hasn't changed. You know, Railworks is I don't know when the last time they built a new rail spur in Onondaga County was. So they're going through that process with us, understanding why we need their insurance, why we need this, why we need that. They're in a good place with us in terms of, I would say the rail spur is a little bit ahead of schedule as far as I can see from the permitting standpoint. National Grid is National Grid. They're a very big company and they have a lot of different hands in the pot. Once you get to the right people, though, you can make sure they've got what they need to do the work that they're doing, because that's a huge undertaking on Codnoy Road.
And a while back, you shared about drivers, CDL drivers. How's that coming along? I get calls all the time. Hey, you know, I'm a truck driver. I want a job. I got a CDL, stuff like that.
Get them over to us.
That's
We have, you know, we have positions that are vacant and funded that we'd love to interview people for. We don't necessarily, can't put them in a truck this week if we hire them, but we are at the point in the year where we're going to need to start planning for the inevitable retirement season, which usually takes place between August and October, when everyone starts evaluating their life decisions and realizes that if they're eligible, maybe they don't want to do another winter like this. So we always lose people at the end of the summer, beginning of the fall, who start thinking about another winter and realize that it might be time to pull the ripcord. We have, it's on our website. They can drop them off at our offices on Malloy Road. They can email them through the website, I believe, an application to Ayanna Moore, who is very, very thorough and aggressive about tracking down every single one of them.
great. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I know Legislator Watts would like to have a moment.
Yes, thank you so much. I just wanted to say a special thank you to Isabel for coordinating. I think she might have stepped out of the room, but if someone can pass along just all of her work to coordinate all of you who came and spoke today. Thank you so much to each and every person who came and shared this snapshot. I want to just give a brief glimpse of where we're headed next. In terms of the idea of this was to give us a broad overview, a big picture of what's going on. But there are committee meetings, including ones next week, where we'll be delving more deeply into this. And so if you are a legislator, I encourage you to participate in those and bring your questions to there. If you are a member of the public and this spurred on a question for you, there is the public hearing coming next. Some of those questions might be expressed there, but you are also welcome, as Legislator Erickson expressed, to submit those by email, and we will do our best as a county, both on legislative and executive side and with our partners, to get questions answered in a timely manner if at all possible. So I also want to just thank Legislator Erickson and Dutton for organizing this joint committee meeting, and appreciate this time that everyone has committed to this important step of the Micron process.
Thank you. So I think we're all set. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Second. Elizabeth Gardner. All in favor? Great. The motion is carried. The meeting is adjourned at 12:09. The Environmental Protection and Planning and Economic Development Committee will reconvene next week, Tuesday, February 24th. Thank you very much. We'll convene the public hearing in
5 minutes.